Hey everybody, Decent Eddie here. It's Saturday, August 16th, 2025. Last year I went 74% on all NFL picks during the regular season, and I went 80% on my confident moneyline picks. Do me a favor, will ya? I do preseason for free, so if you give me a like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell, that would be amazing. Preseason is historically wildly unpredictable, but it's honestly just great to see the build-up and excitement for the upcoming regular season. We've got a lot of games, so let's get through these things kind of lightning round style. Dolphins versus Lions. Dolphins are 2.5-point favorite. The win probability for them is 57%. The over-under is 36.5 points. Now, this is a fascinating game to me because both teams are sitting their starters. For the Dolphins, their backups looked pretty shaky in their last game, and the team is dealing with a lot of injuries. The Lions have the advantage of already having played 2 preseason games, and they're at home. I mean, their backup QB situation isn't perfect, but looks like their second stringers have a decent feel for the rhythm of the game. I like the Lions. I think they're the play here against the spread at 2.5 points. I also am going to take the under 36.5 as both offenses are kind of banged up. Give me the Lions on the money line. Packers versus Colts. The Colts are 6.5-point favorites with a market win probability of 72%, and the over-under is 40.5 points. Now, a 6.5-point spread in preseason is a pretty big number, and it's all based on the Colts' perceived talent. But the reality is that the Colts' defense is kind of, they're decimated. They've got a ton of injuries, especially in the secondary. But all of this is a huge problem because the Packers' strength is their run game, which they're going to probably lean on heavily with a lot of injuries at wide receiver. The Colts' defense gave up a ton of rushing yards in their last game, and they're facing a Packers team that can exploit that weakness. So I'm taking Packers at 6.5 against the spread. With the Colts struggling on defense, I also like the over at 40.5, and for the money line, give me the Packers. Panthers versus Texans. The Texans are 2.5-point favorites with a market win probability of 58%. The over-under is 38.5 points. Now, both these teams lost their openers, but the narratives are pretty different. The Panthers starting QB had a short but solid first outing and is expected to play more. Meanwhile, the Texans backup QB, that's Graham Mertz, he was a disaster. He threw 3 interceptions. The Texans' defense is their strength, was last year too, but they have key injuries in the secondary. This is a game where the Panthers' offense should have an edge with a more stable QB situation. So I'm going to be taking the Panthers at 2.5 against the spread. I'll also take the over 38.5. And a little more juice if you want, I'll take the Panthers on the money line. Patriots at Vikings. The market's got the Patriots as 1.5-point favorites with the market win probability of 57% for the Patriots. The over-under is set at 38.5 points. The Patriots' offense was pretty dang sharp in their first game, putting up 48 points. Their backup quarterbacks look great. The running game looks like it's working out. But, the Vikings also look strong in their opener. And rookie QB J.J. McCarthy is getting a longer leash this week. With both these teams showing good offensive flashes and the Vikings' defense being a strength, I feel this is going to be a tighter game than the market kind of suggests. So I'm going to be taking the Vikings at 1.5 against the spread. I also going to endorse taking the over at 38.5 points. Both offenses proven they can move the ball. Finally, I'll be taking the Vikings on the money line. Browns versus Eagles. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites with a market win probability of 67%. Their over-under is 37.5. Both these teams won their first preseason game, but the stories are pretty different. The Eagles backup, Tanner McKee, looked like a future starter in week 1. He carved up the defense for 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a game right there. On the other side, the Browns QB room is messy. You got Shadur Sanders. He looked good last week, but he's out this week with an oblique injury, I read. Kenny Pickett and others are also banged up. This is a situation where the Eagles have a huge talent advantage at the most important position. So I'm taking the Eagles to cover the 3.5-point spread at home. I also like the over 37.5 as both defenses gave up a lot of points last week. And, of course, I'll take the Eagles on the money line. All right, next game up, it's 49ers and the Raiders. Raiders are 4.5-point favorites at home with a win probability of 67%. The over-under is 40.5 points. The 49ers looked awful in their first preseason game. They lost 30-9. Their backup QB combined for 4 turnovers. 4. You can't win a game if you can't hold on to the ball. The 49ers situation isn't getting any better with a massive list of injuries, including key offensive and defensive players. The Raiders, they showed great resolve for a preseason game by fighting back for a tie in their opener. Pete Carroll wants to establish a winning culture, and they're a much healthier team. I'm taking the Raiders to cover the 4.5-point spread. I also see this game going over the 40.5 points. Neither defense looked really strong last week, and I'm going to lean on the Raiders for the money line. Ravens and Cowboys. Ravens are 1.5-point favorites with a market win probability of 57% and the total set at 36.5 points. The Ravens won last week, but their passing game was rough. The Cowboys lost, but their offense improved as the game went on, and their backup QB situation is more settled with Joe Milton confirmed to start. Given the Ravens' anemic passing performance and the Cowboys' home field advantage, I'm taking Dallas as the underdogs. Both defenses and both openers were pretty loose in a bad way. So I also like the over on 36.5 points. I'm taking the Cowboys on the money line for the upset. Chargers and the Rams. The Chargers are 6.5-point favorites with a market win probability of 73%. The over-under is 39.5 points. This game is all about philosophy. Harbaugh's Chargers are going to play their starters for the first time this season. The Rams, that's McVay's team, they're going to be doing the exact opposite, I read, and they're going to be resting all their starters, a strategy that they've used consistently for years. The Chargers have looked good in their 2 prior games, while the Rams are relying on backup QBs. With the Chargers starters, they're playing against the Rams backups. I see the Chargers easily covering the 6.5-point spread. I also like the over, as the Chargers offense should have no trouble scoring against the Rams' second and third stringers. Take the Chargers on the money line, unless the earth opens up under them. If what I've read is true, it's the easiest play of the day, probably. All right, it's the battle for New York between the Jets and Giants. The Giants are 3.5-point favorites with a win probability of 66%. The over-under is 39.5 points. Both teams are coming off solid preseason wins, and both teams, they've got quarterbacks looking to make statements. While the Giants' rookie QB showed promise, the Jets' new QB, Justin Fields, looked pretty good in his limited action. Both teams' offenses showed they can put up points. The Giants may be favored, but I think the Jets are a more complete team right now. That's just how it feels. The Jets' defense looked great in their opener. I'm taking Jets plus the points in this rivalry game. I also think both offenses can find a way to get this game over 39.5 points. I'm taking the Jets on the money line for the upset. Buccaneers versus Steelers. The Bucs are 2.5-point favorites with a win probability of 60%, and the over-under is 38.5 points. This game is all about who is on the field. The Bucs are coming off a dominant win where their defense forced 3 turnovers. Their backups look good. Even better, they're planning to play their starting offense for the first time this preseason. The Steelers are holding out all their key players. So there's that. With the Bucs' first stringers going up against the Steelers' backups, the 2.5-point spread looks good to me. Both offenses stayed, they stayed pretty good and solid in their openers. But, we got Steelers backups against Bucs starters. So what are you going to do? I expect the Bucs offense to do some damage. They're going to push this one over the 38.5 points. I'm taking the Bucs on the money line as well. The final game is Cardinals versus Broncos. The Broncos are currently 3-point favorites with a win probability of 64%. The over-under is 38.5 points last time I looked. Both teams won their first preseason game. The Broncos were dominant in theirs. Cardinals, they had a bit of a closer call. The most important factor here is that both head coaches have agreed to sit their starters in this game, with only a handful of key players seeing a very limited number of snaps. The Broncos have a deeper pool of backups. Given their dominant Week 1 performance, I'm going to take the Broncos to cover the spread. With both teams' offenses showing they can move the ball, I also like the over at 38.5. I'm going to be taking the Broncos on the money line as well. All right, friends, that's it. Parlays, I'll keep saying it. It's preseason. While I trust most of what I've been reading, there's not enough data, in my opinion, to start messing around with parlays. Anything can happen. But if you must, I will always endorse a 3-leg parlay with odds between -400 and -450. You do that, your probability stays above 50%. Regardless of what you choose, I never recommend more than a 3-leg parlay due to the risks of combined probabilities. Never spend more than 10% of your bankroll in total across all your wagers in a day. Never chase losses. And if you need help, check out my channel's description. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Hey, if you found this helpful, please hit like, subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment, get my picks on the day of the game before kickoff. Follow me on Decent Eddie Picks on Instagram. You can see me on Facebook. You can see me on X. Decent Eddie Picks, spelled P-I-X. I'm on TikTok. I'll post updated team grades there when it's time to do it. Last minute thoughts if I have them. But let's see what happens. This is Decent Eddie signing off. Have an awesome day.